Good afternoon or good evening, everyone. Um, just let me know, just starting up here, let me know if you can hear me, how I sound, how the music sounds, how everything looks. There'll be a little kind of chat room in to the left or right underneath the video. So if you can just type in there and let me know how everything's going, how everything's sounding, that'll be fantastic. I think I'm going to start today because they have a little chart of when people were watching and that type of thing, and it seems like it picks up a little bit later. So I'm going to start with probably the most boring thing, which is just going over the markets. We'll do that super quick today, and then from there go to take a look at what I traded or what the robot traded, how everything looked. And then kind of what I think for tomorrow. So, a pretty interesting day in the SPY, right? We had a decent open, sell, came back, tried to test highs, failed, tried to test highs again, failed real hard this time, and then just kind of chopped around. But, taking a look overall here, right? Nothing has changed, right? Every time we pull back into this area, this kind of 137 or 237.50, we have problems. Anytime we're up near this 239, we have problems. So still just the same old stuff. So as long as it remains, I know I keep saying it, it's boring, but as long as we continue to be, in this base, right, and then also in this base, I don't see anything to do other than buy support, sell resistance. It's been working. So I'm just going to keep doing it. Again, I think at some point we're going to obviously have to resolve this base pretty substantially. I think it's going to kind of all happen overnight. It's just going to be a dangerous, a big news event, a war, God forbid, what else. But I don't think it's going to be easy, I guess, to take it out of the space. Maybe it will be, though. Alright, so let's quickly go through what happened today. Zillow, right? We were looking at it long, near. Move these over a bit away from the chart. And always, right, when I click on this, it obviously is updating the chart. This is a 5-minute, this is a daily chart. The price right here that I entered at, or that the bot entered at, is 39.20. I think I give it 2 cents slippage, so it's 39.20 plus or minus 2 cents, right? It can't be any more than that. And then if you take a look at the arrow, this blue arrow, let me delete this. This blue arrow down here, that's going to be the time that it entered. That's going to correspond to what candle it entered on. So Zillow was fantastic this morning. Right out the gate, pulled back just like we were looking at to this support here. Bounced off, away it went. So that was a pretty good one. INTU had a pretty big push up here. Got out most in this area. I think it was actually either in the 126 area, and then the rest stopped me out break even. But when I say I'm out most, it's generally 80 to 90% of the positions. That last little bit doesn't matter too much. J&J, same thing, right? Nice move early, up near highs here, got out most, came back down, and stopped break even on the rest. TD just didn't work. It didn't fully stop out. It triggered at 25. Oh no, so I guess it would have, and then it would have stopped out down under $46. So tiny loser on that one. Again, we're risking on average 25 cents to make 50, give or take. And sometimes you're seeing that it's quite a bit more than that. So even if I bat 50%, we'll be fine. ATVI, same thing. Triggered here, bounced a little bit, sold back down. I think we're going to have this one on the list for tomorrow. PayPal triggered early, and this one just kind of chopped around most of the day. I think I ended up taking this one out flat when we sold off here and then bounced again. AME, this was just a small stop. Pulled back a little bit and then came back up. Very active day, if you haven't noticed. It's much more active than we've been the past few days. To be honest, what you're going to see is that most of the profits came from these two early trades in Z and INTU. C-Trip, same kind of thing. Sold here dramatically, chopped around for so long, and when it made this third attempt down, let's see, I think we're having issues here. Sorry, I'm just lightening up on things here. I always go in too bold thinking I can have all the things open and everything will be fine. So let me just close some stuff here. So let me know if we're back. I know we lost it there for a quick moment, but we should be good to go here. Maybe. Yeah, okay. RH was just a little tiny quick winner. It sold in through here. Sold lower. Got out most of the position right below 51 and came back up. Got the rest break even. And then the last one here was Grub, which this one was phenomenal. Basically almost top ticked it on the day up at 23. Sold off. Got out most kind of in this area, and then it just chopped around the rest of the day, so I would have gotten out the rest there as well. So all in all, good day. I think three small tiny losses, a bunch of flats, and then 3 winners that were kind of full winners, and that was on Zillow, INTU, and Grub. So really, it's one of those things, if you boil it down, it's 50-50, but certainly can't complain. If you're managing your risk correctly, that's totally fine. All right, so let's quickly go through. I'm going to bring up trade ideas here. When I do this on the other screen at the same time, I'll go over kind of my spiel about what we do here. I'm an algo trader, intraday, day trader, algo trader. I essentially take the entire, I use trade ideas to take the entire universe of stocks. I narrow it down to 20. I feed those 20 into these kind of back-tested, I just call them entry algorithms, to just kind of say, okay, of all of the stocks that I picked, I only want you to trade them if and when these things happen. I feed these into alert windows for you discretionary traders. Kind of this is where it would stop, where you'd have these windows that just tell you, hey, the stock you want did this exact thing, where you want it. This is kind of just showing you of your watch list, this is a trade to be entered. For me, I enter it into my bot that I trade with a prop firm, and it auto trades them from there. So that's why I'm able to take all of these trades a day and be, on them, and stops and profits and everything are being taken, because it's all just being done kind of without my interaction at all. So basically what we're going to do first, we're going to go through the list that we made today and kind of see if there's anything that we should add back on tomorrow. AME still looks good. We looked at the SPY on the open, or when we opened the stream, and we noted that it's still hanging out inside the range. Crack my scanning beer. And as long as we're inside this really tight range on the SPY, I think the game plan is going to be continuing to use the entry algorithm that I have. That's a pullback style one, and also look for that on pullback style stocks, right? So AME here, we've been watching for a few days. As it breaks higher here, the candles are getting smaller and smaller, and the volume's declining. Wasn't too nice to us today, but we'll give it another chance there tomorrow. So I'm going to add that one on the list. From here, Coach, no longer interested. C-Trip, no longer interested. EMR did exactly, and this is kind of just the unfortunate thing about this type of algo trading nature. This is kind of exactly what I'm looking for. So like a sell off, a little pop, and a continuation. Unfortunately, the bot just didn't meet the very specific entry criteria I have, so I missed it. So one of those things, even though it did exactly what we wanted it to, it just wasn't in the cards to have taken. So out of that, Grub, we're gonna add Grub back in. Grub was great today, and it's still up near the area, a bit overdone for tomorrow, so we'll add that one back in. Lumber Liquidators, we're not really interested in. Lowe's kind of did what we were looking today. Yeah, I was losing it for a second. We also had a trade on Lowe's here. When I saw this, I'm like, I know the bot traded it. I remember looking when I was reviewing it, and you can see that's what happened. It did actually trigger here short and came down and hit right off 85, and then the rest got stopped out, break even, I think, on this candle here. But back to the scan, not really looking at that again tomorrow. On to the next one here with PayPal. I can ignore that one. RH, we're going to leave on, look for another trade in this. W, we're going to leave W alone. So here, again, if you want to create these lists yourself within Trade Ideas, you just go to the account management, and you can, under symbol lists, you can create your own symbol lists, and then that is what is getting fed into these alert windows. So you can see here in the short one, we just have AME, Grub, and RH. Now we're going to go into kind of the scanning portion where I take a look at what's overbought and oversold, because we're going to continue to keep the same type of mentality. And this is going to change, I think, fairly soon when this base breaks at some point, when we get some sort of catalyst that finally pushes us one way or the other. Start looking for a little bit more momentum type stocks, but for now we're just going to keep this overbought, oversold. Less glamorous, but it's working, so I'd be crazy to change. So this first scan here, and again, some or all of these I can share if you just type in the chat room that one interests you. We can go from there, but some of them have custom formulas, which I can show you the custom formulas, but that's a little bit more complicated to do. This particular one is just looking for stocks outside of the daily Bollinger Bands at its close. So just things that are a bit overdone one way or the other. And again, the way I look at these is I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, that's a bit done. Intraday, we have a bit of resistance here, and then I can take a look at stop, profit target, volume, right? Short float, days to cover, all of these type of things. Just so if you want to know how my thought process works, you know, I'm generally starting here looking at the daily, and then I'm over here looking at the intraday, and then I'm over here kind of looking at the fundamental type data. So average true range, again, this is smart stop, is a filter that Trade Ideas created, and it's just kind of what would you get away with on a regular stock. So we're going to add in BERY here. Let's scroll this out a few days. Interesting looking at this Zillow too. Keeps popping up on my other screen is after hours. So it's one of those times that it would have been interesting if you held into the next day, right? We were in here from 39.16. Right, it looks like we may get a little gap up tomorrow, but it's some volatile end-of-day action. MOH looks interesting here. It's just a little bit too volatile for me. I've noticed this thing for a few days kind of bumping its head against this area that it did before. It's just, I'm looking at it, and again, I'm trying to get away with a 20-30 cent stop, and Trade Ideas would recommend a 75-cent stop on this. So it's just, unfortunately, can't take a trade off of that, right? And this is why I find this filter so useful, the Smart Stop. Just because I can glance and say, okay, I couldn't get away with my 20-cent stop, so I'm just going to move on. I think we're going to add Yum in here. We're overbought, so it made this list, so we're outside of the Bollinger Bands, and we're also hitting this resistance area. Pretty strong move up. And then we have a bit of an intraday range here that it seems to be struggling with. So we're going to put this one in, and basically the algorithm that I'm building for most of these is saying, okay, if you can find within, right, yesterday's range, if basically there's a specific pattern that I'm looking for that will show kind of reversals, and then we'll take a look from there. So I'm looking for kind of a daily reversal, but the pattern I'm using is looking for intraday momentum on my side. Delphi, I think we're going to add Delphi in here as well. Interesting little topping tail today. If you look at the volume that we had today on this push up, it's significantly less than yesterday, and we've had topping tails both days. So both days there's been sellers that have been coming in. Just looks like a stock that there could be some profit taking coming in. And again, all I'm ever doing is trying to look at the other side and think about what the other side might be doing if we get weakness the next day. And then that's how I'll position the bot, is to look for that weakness the next day and then try to get in on that. I'll tell you what, since the SPY's been chopping around the way it has, it's been harder and harder and harder to find add team in here, to find stocks. It's been just a bit of a pain. You know, most stocks are going to travel with the market, and if the market's chopping sideways, most stocks will as well. And I know from talking to the traders that I mentor and the guys in our prop firm chat room and all that, it's rough out there. It's hard, especially if you're trained as a Momo trader, which I know a lot of traders are. A lot of traders are big into kind of low float momentum stocks, which work great quite often. But from what I'm hearing from everyone is it's getting kind of harder and harder out there, because the market's just not doing anything to follow through. That's unfortunate. We had this Zen on our list, and it just gapped up and didn't give us an entry. So we have only 7 stocks, so we're looking for 3 more. Again, I cap myself at 10 per side, just because, again, this is all done with algos the next day. It's all done automatically. I want to kind of avoid the possible, at 10, get 1,000 trades per side. We have built something in the bot that you can cap the maximum amount of trades. And I do that for most of my fully automated algorithms, but these kind of semi-automated ones, how I do it is I say, okay, I'm only picking 10 per side. I figure worst case scenario, if all 10 of them trigger and all 10 of them get stopped out, that's a horrible day, but the odds of that are pretty slim. Generally speaking, I get let's say 5 to 7 trades on 20 symbols, but I always just need to note that it is possible, so I need to just be careful about that. So we're going to move on from just the overbought, oversold scans, I think, and this is a scan that I built with Trade Ideas. It's just looking for these kind of topping tail candles. Old school technical analysis, right? If the stock pushes up middle of the day and that gets corrected, we close anywhere near the lows. Just showed the bears kind of showed their hands up there, and the bulls kind of showed their weak. So I don't think any individual candlestick in and of itself is enough to base a trade off of, but if you get that and you get it kind of in an overextended position, or you get it near an area of resistance, it tilts those odds in your favor, and that's our entire goal, right? Is to, if you're managing your risk and reward correctly, at 50% win rate, you're golden. So if I can tilt that to 60% in my favor, then I'm laughing. FIS is interesting. I'm going to add this one in here as number 8. Essentially just looking, we had this kind of pretty large sell-off, and then we've been kind of pulling back up to get back to this resistance area that we had before, and then had a pretty decent topping tail in today. Possible dead cat bounce here, and that we're just going to continue on lower. Also, if you look at the volume on the breakdown, it was pretty high, and then it's just been declining ever since. So keeping an eye on stuff like this, I really like when one side obviously wins, the other side tries to pull it back, and if the side that wins defends their position, sometimes you get these fast moves the other direction. Something tells me it's going to be a lot easier to find longs today, and that's just because if you look at the SPY with this bottoming tail that happened here, just makes me think that it's very likely that we continue, that a lot of stocks look like this, and they have this bottoming tail that I like to look for at support. So we'll have to be careful to make sure that we cap ourselves on the long side so we're not too weighted one side or the other going into tomorrow. If anyone knows the news on this VWR, let me know. This is a buyout, I'm not interested, but if not, it's interesting. We tried to have a push up today and couldn't really do anything, but it was almost so sideways that it makes me think that it looks like buyout stuff. how we talked about that other stock, and it was a shame that I was algo trading because I missed it. But that being said, it was awesome that I was algo trading with this AIG because it just gapped and I would just no longer be interested, right? So the method that we use where we kind of put our watch lists into these algos is fantastic because I actually have a restriction on those and say if it gaps too much, just ignore it. So it's good. I had one guy mention one day, he said, oh, a lot of the stuff that you're looking at the next day is just gone, right? It either ripped the other direction or it gapped or whatever. And that's just what I told him, that that's why I'm glad that I'm intraday trading these and that I'm algo trading these, is because any or all of these may not trigger. There might be absolutely nothing tomorrow that fits everything that we want to have happen to these things intraday. Again, that's unlikely, just like it's unlikely to get all of them to trigger, but it's possible. It just mean for a real lazy Friday. This ESRX, interesting to me. I'm going to add this one on here too. We had this gap down, slowly meandered up to close or near to close the low of that gap, and then kind of quickly rejected, right? Had this push up to the gap and someone just slapped that continuously lower. So if we get a pullback looking at the intraday to kind of this area tomorrow, I'll tell the bot to look for some weakness in this area with, kind of a stop up here. And if we move down, what are the odds that we're going to get 2-to-1 our risk? I think are pretty good. So we only have room for one more, then we'll do the long side, and then we'll hang out as long as you guys are interested and just run Q&A, anything you guys want to talk about. Again, there is links below for trade ideas, for my email address. There's also a little chat room down there. Ask any questions you want, trade ideas, trading, psychology, what I'm doing. If it's your first time here, just say hi. I'm doing this little experiment because I've been building these watch lists for a while and showing building these watch lists for a while, and just something that was requested by a fair amount of people sending me emails saying, listen, I love the watch list, but I want to see the building of the watch list as well as what happened, right? And that's what we went through first, is we went through kind of what happened with yesterday's watch list. So tomorrow we'll do what happened with today's watch list, and then the wrap up, and we'll go from there. So just gonna look we need one more kind of short here. And I love these metrics. So if you look down here, right, I looked at this one and I said, well, that's interesting. It's obviously overdone. The range is something that I like. But then just a quick glance look up here, I can see, yes, it did 775,000 shares today, but that was 3.9, right? So that was 4 times its normal volume today to do these 700,000 shares. So if I were to put this in the bot tomorrow, there's odds are the volume just dries up entirely and we get back down into what we normally do for volume, which is like 200,000 a day. And we're algo trading these, so the entries are automated, the stops are automated, so we want to do what we can to limit slippage the best we can. I always say it's better to, if you want to deal with e-liquid, low flow, like these type of things, you're best to do that by hand, because a bot isn't precise when it comes to order entry, right? I say, listen, give me whatever the alert is, send out a limit order 2 or 3 cents higher and try to get that. The more liquid you get, the worse chance that you have that will actually happen. I'm going to add this MOH. I know we looked at it before and we said it was a bit too volatile, but when I go and I look here, this 20-minute range is... Oh, no, sorry. Never mind. Let's take that back off. I was like, that's only 20 cents. No, that's $1.20 in those 5-minute candles. I'm surprised I haven't heard any much about this. This would be, if you loved scalping, this kind of thing would be your best friend. And again, if you guys just want to, I'm going to add Costco as our last one here. If you guys just want to come in and shoot the shit and yammer on and have this place as a place to chill while we all do our post-market wrap-ups, that's totally fine too. Alright, so what you'll notice is in a minute or two, I've confirmed that list. In a minute or two, you'll see Trade Ideas will actually update this list here. And then we're going to quickly do the longs, and then we'll do a summary of kind of what we're looking at with the two of them, and then Q&As after that. So ATV is going to stay on the list. This was, I believe, a full stop out for us today, so it was no fun, but we're going to leave it on the list. Same with Best Buy. Basically, anything that the synopsis is the same from yesterday, like INTU, is going to be back in there. That's been a winner 2 days in a row. J&J, yeah, leave that one in there. Kellogg's, ooh, didn't see that. That's interesting, because this is the kind of pattern that it actually should be trading. I might need to go and look at that and see why it didn't try that intraday. That was fantastic. LYB, we're going to add back in there. And we'll go over why these were in here in a moment, but you can see it's been pulling back pretty dramatically. Nice bottoming tail today. TD was just no fun today at all. Zillow's got some earnings and Zen gapped. So again, if you go to Trade Ideas account management, right, you can build these lists for yourself. Some people asked why I don't use their price alerts feature, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the price alerts feature and anything being wrong with it. It's just that I'm feeding these into alert windows, so they have to just be inputted a different way. But again, if you're new to Trade Ideas, another way you can do this is if you want to just have this window open and you want it to alert you when certain prices get broke. Say you were looking at this 54.25 area on PTC and said, okay, well, 54.25 is interesting. You can delete this. You can actually just right click on the chart and you can say create alert of 54.25 and click save, and you'll see that a little line comes up here on the Trade Ideas chart and it shows you right here. So it will tell you the order is working, that it's looking for this from below, and that right now it's 35 cents from the alert. So again, different ways to do it, and which is one of the benefits of Trade Ideas, depending on what kind of trader you are. Again, I'm building the list right now. I'm hanging out with some tunes, having a beer. I'll feed these into the bot, and then I'll be done. I kind of want to have that trade it on the back end by itself. So we have 5 stocks, so we're going to look for 5 more. Again, revision to the mean type stuff, and not the most interesting, not the most fascinating. You're not going to get any kind of, hey, look, this thing went up, 8 million% from yesterday. But, right, if you look at Zillow, right, I bought it down here as a revision to the mean or a support resistance type play. I got it here at 36.20, went up to 40.60, or sorry, 39.20, went up to 40.60 at the highs. So they're not nearly as glamorous and they're not nearly as exciting, but I've always said that trading shouldn't be interesting. If you want to be excited, interesting, you want to be fascinated and just jump out of a plane, right? Do something exciting outside of your trading. I'm gonna add an SKT here. Yeah, I never look at trading as if it should be an exciting endeavor. I always want it to be relatively boring. I can take the money I make from it and do exciting things, but my trading philosophies have always been look for pullbacks, look for support and resistance, look for the simpler, kind of more boring things, and NTRI I think is a bit too, yeah, it's nuts. Can't trade that. Do the more boring thing, right? So you're buying at support, you're selling at resistance. Not the most exciting thing in the world, but you know where your stop is, and you've got kind of unlimited type upside. So DVA, we're down pretty significantly into support here, resistance here, and filling the gap here, as well as some more resistance here, and God only knows how far this goes out. So I'm going to add this one in. That is a volatile one, though. And again, the other thing with this single stock window, if you didn't know, you can click on this little profile tab here and just get a whole bunch of cool information about what it is that the specific companies do and what industry they're in, so you can kind of double check and make sure you're not double, triple, quadruple dipping in different industries. I'm almost scared to go into the hammer candle scan that I have. I just think there's going to be so much of it because the whole market, right, did a big hammer candle. Let's give TD another try. It was a gross trader today, but my watch is calling me fat, telling me to stand up. I'll tell it to shut up and I'll be done in a minute. Another scan I'm going to take a look at here is things that closed at highs. There might be... It was a very interesting candle on the SPY. So let me zoom in here. If you go into the SPY and you take a look, you can see that this area, this 238 area, has been strong resistance for so long. The one thing that candlestick analysis, just looking at the candlesticks here, doesn't tell you is that the tempo this move happens, right? All this candlestick really tells you is that we opened here, went up a little bit, sold off, came back, and closed here. That's all it tells you. It doesn't tell you this intraday kind of rapid sell-off on large volume was completely negated. And again, from someone who, for the beginning of my trading career, was all about studying order flow. It was all about trying to understand market maker order flow and stock order flow. What I note from a big V reversal like that is that somebody, every time, the same thing happened in through here too, right? Every time we come down into this area, someone with enough cash to push the SPY up has been hitting it. So again, I'm looking for support and resistance type stuff, but if I had to take a bet right now, based solely off these two dips that got quickly met with buying, would be that we're probably going to continue higher. It's not really my job to guess that or predict that. My job is to find stocks that have good potential so that if the robot chooses to trade them, they'll be profitable. But it just looks... It looks like there's something in there that is, every time the market dips, there's some program, there's some hedge fund, whatever it is, that just starts the old plunge protection team that's buying things higher. So if I believe that, let me go in and add V here, because we had this possible double top type area here. We had a decent little pullback at the same time the market was pulling back into an area of congestion. Bounced pretty strong off it. With this hammer candle, we could get going above this area tomorrow. So this I'll plug into a scan that will be kind of more momentum related and look for something that's breaking out to new highs or breaking out of resistance. I keep seeing airlines pop up. I don't know if anyone saw. I was just surfing, I guess, as the market was coming to the close, and I saw that there was another hoopla about someone getting kicked off a Delta flight and stuff like this. So this might cause... So you'll notice I'll see an airline, and regardless of what it looks like, I'll quickly move off it, because if they're causing crap again, it's just nothing I want to be a part of, right? I was very public about the fact that I thought that everybody who was looking at this UAL, or United Airlines, the world was going to come to an end here. You don't. If only the market was that easy, that bad news came out about a company that went super viral and the company actually went down in value, right? This thing pops up. So I get people arguing to me all the time that, technical analysis doesn't make sense, statistical analysis doesn't make sense. but you can't trade solely off of news. You know, the best guys that I know that trade news, they're trading it off the event as it hits, and they're monitoring the price action. So they're looking at, okay, good news just came out. Is the stock surging higher? Yes. Okay, let me get involved. Not just hey, it's good news, so I'm gonna buy it. What I'm looking for on CERN is we had this nice big gap up out of this area of resistance, pulled back. Really, if you were a fib guy, this is probably the 50%-ish area, and put in a nice bottoming tail today. So a nice kind of support play for a move possibly higher. That puts us down to 4, 5. That's 10 longs and 10 shorts. So we'll go to this list here. We'll go through each individual stocks I chose and why, and then start typing your questions now, and I'll hang out as long as there are questions and then take off when there are no more. So we'll do the shorts as the longs are updating with AME. We were noticing the decreasing in candle size as well as the decrease in volume as we're moving higher. And then also we had this resistance area intraday that's been forming. BERY, same kind of thing, right? Just pushing higher on lower volume, and intraday resistance being formed here. So we're going to look for it up in this resistance type area. Costco, new highs, oversold. Had a pretty parabolic move, sell off, unable to take that. So I'm going to have the bot take a look at this resistance area. And if we can see the pattern that I'm looking for around this type resistance area, then we'll short with a stop just above the resistance area. If we pull in anywhere into this range, that will definitely be multiple times our risk. So we'll be happy with that. Delphi, same type of deal. ESRX, pulled up today to this finally kind of fill the low end of this gap range, hit it to the tick, and just sold off for the rest of the day. So gonna kind of look for a bounce into this area tomorrow, and then continuation lower, right? Simple stop, can definitely get 2 times the stop pretty easily from there. So you'll notice a lot of what I'm doing is looking at the daily candles in the daily chart, but I'm looking at the intraday action, saying, okay, what if this happens and this happens? Where would a stop go? Where would profit target go? Is that at least 2 to 1, preferably 3 to 1? So that, you know, even if I'm only 50% right, I'm still perfectly fine. And I really think that's how you have to trade, unfortunately. So many people I'm seeing so many people online doing a lot of, risking $100 to make $10 type of thing. And it scares me, basically. FIS, we're seeing this big gap down, this push up into prior resistance, and then a big topping tail come in here with resistance up here. So what I'm going to tell the bot is if we get a pull up, right, somewhere near 64 tomorrow, and then we start to see weakness, we'll take a short, a stop, and then a target here. So pretty decent risk reward. Grub was a good trade for us today. We're just going to watch that tomorrow. If we come back up into this range, it'll be interesting to see if whoever caused the reversal is still there. And this is just overdone, and we noted yesterday that this was a bit of a resistance area, this $47 even. RH, this was, I remember we scrolled out. Yeah, this was a gap fill up in this area. Oops. So there's the gap. You can see that it filled it pretty much exactly. Here, we pushed up a little bit higher and then just sold back down. So this is kind of the gap fill area. So I'm going to look for the bot to do that intraday weakness scan kind of in this type of area, knowing that that's where the gap is filled. And there's a lot of psychological reasons between why gap fills work, right? So if you're long a stock and it gaps down, say you're long a stock from $10 and it gaps down to $5, sadly, and it's not at all what you should do, but a lot of people will hold on to that type of stock until it gets back to their break even, right? I know we've all said that at one point is, oh my God, if I can only get back to break even, then I'm out, then I'm good. We know that as professional traders, right? For those of us who are, we know that that's just the worst possible thing. But again, we've all done it. And my theory on trading is just figure out what the masses are going to do and look to take the other side of that. Team, just higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. Finally broke this little wick. Just a pure overbought play, right? The fact that this thing has kind of been in a straight line from 28 to damn near 38. Nothing fancy about that. Just it's got to pull back at some point. I'll have the bot look for intraday weakness. Hopefully that causes some sort of cascade effect. And Yum is simply overbought based off of the scans I have on Trade Ideas using Bollinger Bands, RSI, these type of things, and just slapping its head on this resistance type area. So for the longs, ATVI was not fun to us today. You can see that it's been selling off pretty dramatically into an area where it's bounced before. So we're just watching it. We're watching it for long, kind of in this area, I guess all the way down to 35. I'll keep an eye on it if it keeps coming straight down. One thing to note, and this is something I think a lot of people forget when it comes to support, resistance, revision to the mean, that type of thing, is tempo is very important. What I mean by tempo is that if you've got a support area here and the thing very slowly and calmly and rationally and basing sideways a lot comes into the support, there's a lot less kind of shock value that it's hitting that support. So I think the odds of it continuing lower are pretty good. Whereas if we crash back into it, it's generally speaking, you see a lot often at least a knee-jerk reaction to take it higher, and then if it continues, whatever. That's longer-term traders than mine problem. CERN, we had a nice gap up, push higher. We've been holding the top end of that range. Just going to see if we're developing some support in this area and maybe get a push higher. DVA, sell off into a pretty prominent area. Resistance, gap, support, possible support. And again, the tempo here is pretty substantial. So a bounce is certainly possible. INTU, for days now, we've been watching this nice little bear flag. And every time it's pulled back into this area, we've gotten nice little purchases on these pullbacks, and it's bounced pretty nice for us. So we're going to continue to watch that as long as it keeps working. J&J, exact same story. Tight range. Every time it's pulled back, it's hit kind of support and then bounce higher. We'd be crazy not to keep doing that. Eventually, it's going to pull back and maybe not hold, but that's when things get more volatile like that, we'll change accordingly. LYB, we're down to kind of a congestion breakout area, down from 97 to 80, pretty much straight, with increasing momentum here and a nice little bottoming tail on the daily. So we're going to add this one in for continuation tomorrow. Obvious support, we're talking 81 to 81.20. SKT, good sell-off down to an area of support, overshot that a little bit. We'll see if it quickly reverses. If it continues kind of hanging out down here for too long, I'll kind of flip my synopsis on it. But it's often that you see support getting penetrated by a little bit and then reversing. TD, kind of a sloppy trader, getting real near this breakout type area after a pretty dramatic sell down into it. So again, we're just looking for a small bounce. Visa, we had strong move higher, slight pullback, a push up, couple days basing sideways, and then on the intraday chart, this 92.25. If we can get a pullback into this area and then some strength from there, then I think we may actually look for a move higher. So that is the watch list for tomorrow, and again, the wrap up from today. So I'll hang out now for just a few questions. Any questions? There is a chat room below or next to the video you're watching. You can just go in there, and with your Google account, you can just type away. I see that there are a few. So let me just go through them from there. Let me bring these into the window too. So hopefully you can see these guys as well. Eric says, first time. Hey, hi. Welcome. Do you share these top list settings? Well, here are the top lists, right? So you can take these from there. If you mean the actual intraday criteria, I use my own stuff. I suggest you build your own base what you want to see intraday. For me, I'm looking for, I basically use, and I'll show you here. Let me just duplicate, configure. So if you go into trade ideas, you can see, I'm just going to add this. So if I configure this, I'll kind of show you how I set it up, and hopefully this helps. You should look for whatever criteria is that you like to see intraday. For me, it's generally Trade Ideas has these built-in support and resistance algorithms that are actually pretty good, and they look for stocks that have been kind of hitting, hitting support, hitting resistance, that type of thing. And basically, I guess their support algorithm works on something like, I want to see a price that has come down to and reversed off of a couple times, and then when it breaks, I'm going to consider that a break of support. So I use those, and you can find them just in here. For my filters, I basically want to see something, I use percentage of average true range. I don't want to see anything that's like moved 200% its average true range already and then buy it, right? The odds are I'm buying the top. I don't want to see a gap, right? I generally don't want anything that's gapped more than 1%, so I leave that out. And then time of day, and this is minutes after the open. So I sit out for the first 15 minutes, and then I don't want any new trades after lunch. So I hope that helps, but for the actual top lists, they're kind of just right here. And you can follow me on Twitter, which I'll post here. When I remember, I take just a screenshot of these and share them. So hopefully that answered your question. If not, let me know. So we have Jack here. Hello, I can finally type in this chat. Was watching the last couple days, but that's great. And the thing is, too, anyone who's watching, again, I don't keep the numbers up. I don't really know how much it is, but if you have a Gmail account or a Google Plus account or anything, Google Drive or anything like that, you already have a YouTube account. It's just your Gmail address and your password. You can log in, and now that you created an account, if you actually go to not just my channel, any channel, but right, if you want to know bring up a video. You want to know when anyone's going live or anything like that. If you click in their channel and just click subscribe, it will just, next time you go to your kind of YouTube homepage, it will just say, hey, these are the people that you wanted me to let you know when they uploaded new stuff. So we got a question here. What's the lag time when you enter a trade to the time that you posted in this channel? How long are you usually in a trade? What's your risk reward ratio? What's your average stop? I don't post the stuff live, right? Live intraday, the bot's just doing his thing. I'm usually leaving him alone. Often not even kind of watching him. So I don't post the actual entries live. I'm just kind of posting the list building. How long I'm in a trade is 15 minutes to all day. I'm a day trader, so I'm not holding these overnight. Right now I trade with a prop firm, so benefits of a prop firm is you get, insane buying power issued by a firm, the losses are covered by the firm, all this type of thing. Downside is they have restrictions and rules about holding overnight and that type of deal. And I find it easier to just predict the next day, to be honest. So that's kind of what I'm doing now. My risk profit ratio, I set a hard 2-for-1 in the bot. So to answer your next question right away, I usually risk a quarter or 25 cents to make a half or 50 cents. Generally what I'll do is at that profit, I will sell most of my position and keep a extra 10 to 20% on. And that 10 to 20% I'll just hold till the end of the day or a break-even stop. Often you'll get things like what happened on kind of J&J today, where the bot entered in through here. We had a nice push higher. I got out most of the position, and then we pulled back for a break-even stop. And then sometimes you'll have what we had on Z today, where I buy most of the position and the thing just never looks back, and you have that extra 20%. So hard, I'll never go less than 2-to-1 risk reward, but with that extra little bit, sometimes I kind of eke that up to 2.5 to 3, just depending on kind of what's going on. And again, if there's any follow-up questions to any things I'm spouting off, just kind of hit from there. New to TI, overwhelmed with the scans. Can you please share a good back-tested, optimized scan? That would all depend, Jack, on what is it you like to trade. Maybe I have a back-tested scan of something that you like to look at, but one thing I always tote is that if it's not your ideas, you're not going to follow through with them, right? So if you decide what it is that you want, links below, fire me an email. Maybe I can write you up something. But and also a mentorship service I do is where I bring people in and they tell me what they like to see, and I try to build a scan for them live and show them how I do it, and then they can make their own. But really, it's about what you want to do. But the best place to start, I think, with trade ideas, and let me close some stuff down here, is these channel bars. Let's go through here, and I'll show you the channel bars that I personally really like. So I obviously, the best place to start your day, the pre-market channel, is pretty good. What's gapping up, what's gapping down. For intraday actions, again, Holly, I'm a bit biased because a lot of the stuff in Holly I wrote. Let's see which ones, if any, I wrote today. I think the continuation might be mine, but didn't trigger it. Other than that, there's a lot of new ones in here. So I like that one. The other one that I really like and I think is a hidden gem, is the active day trader. These two top lists here, the biggest bounces on losers and biggest pullbacks on winners, these are great for like continuation type plays, because it will show you what's been really strong and is pulling back and what's really weak and bouncing, which based off your next comment here, something pulling back to support for swing trading, a multi-day hold swing trade. I don't swing trade myself, so I don't have any that I have back tested. But you know, these pullbacks on winners and bounces on losers might be a really good place to start looking. And I understand the whole being overwhelmed with trade ideas. There's a lot there. There's a lot of stuff. Hang out with the channels. Remember that at any time, if you see something you like in these channels, you can right click in any window, click pinned, right? Move this off to the side, and then say I want to right click and I want to pin this, which is right under properties. Go down, and then when I change the channel, you'll see these things are still hanging out. And then the beauty of that is that you can swap around between channels, and if you see something that you really like, then kind of go from there, right? So this is just a top list on defense type trades, but so pull those out and then start going in and configuring them, where you can configure, you know, maybe you look for more volume, maybe you want more relative volume, right? You can specify the price that you want to trade, all of that type of stuff. But there's a lot of pre-built stuff here that you can start with. And then the other one is Barry's windows down here are pretty fantastic, where he's got a lot of, you know, option play, that type of stuff. So Keith, hey, it's my first video. Do you do this daily? I've been doing this daily this week. With this channel, again, if you go back, you know, I do there's been a lot of live trading, a lot of algo building, a lot of, you know, PowerPoint presentation, that type of stuff. So I'm still kind of trying to figure out what it is that we do here, to be perfectly honest. So please, if there's a particular format that you like, let me know. I may basically just based off of what the people watching want to see, right? So as always, emails down below, that type of thing. The more I basically go into the analytics and I say, okay, what are people watching? What are they sharing? Right? What are they liking? What are they telling other people about? And those are the things that I'm going to continue to do. So Eric says, regarding my stops, do I use the TI stop? I use just a hard stop. You'll see me do a lot of, you know, I'll bring up, say, a stock, and then maybe I'm not communicating it well, but you'll see me do a lot of like bringing my mouse up here and taking a look and saying, in my head, I'm saying, okay, this is 69.30 and this is 69.80. So if I wanted kind of a resistance break in this area and I wanted to have my stop out there, what would a logical stop be? So you'll just see me kind of eyeball it a lot on the chart. However, I do use Trade Ideas Smart Stop as a reference. I know that the minimum is, I believe, 25 cents and the maximum 75 cents. So if I see it up in that 75-cent area, I know that it's a wicked wide, wicked volatile stock, so I'll just kind of stay away from it. But again, you'll see me kind of eyeball it quite a bit, and you'll say that's what I'll lose, right? So I'll look at it and I'll say, okay, well, if the bot shorted here and I needed the stop to be up here, that's about 50 cents or so. And then I'll look at it and say, okay, what is a dollar, right? Because I want the double of that, right? Thanks for transparency. No problem. One thing I always said, that if I'm ever gonna do this kind of stuff, I'm gonna be as the honest guy. I'm not gonna be the. I know I'm not big enough to piss these guys off, but I try very hard not to use names. But I think we all know the, hey, look how rich I am. Just do my thing, and you'll be rich like me too. And then it turns out they make 90% of their income just by selling courses. So. Trying not to be those, trying to be the people's guy, if that makes any sense. I spent a lot of time sucking real hard at trading. So I kind of like to give back, I guess. Do I have a max spread? I don't. You can input that into Trade Ideas if you want. However, I'm always paying attention. You'll notice I'm looking a lot at my single stock window, where I'll look at the volume and the relative volume, and from there I kind of know what the spreads are going to be like. So yes, everybody should look at spreads. I use max spreads on any of my fully back-tested or my fully automated algorithms, but I don't look at it for these because I know roughly what the volume is. So Key says, do I offer a mentoring program? I do one-on-one paid mentoring. You can just email me. Again, the link's down below the video about that, about kind of what you want to see and how long you want to talk for, that type of thing. But I do a lot of kind of one-on-one, sitting down with people, teaching them how to, technical analysis, statistical analysis, how to build strategies. Some people have me just kind of go through their trades and critique and that type of thing. So yeah, I do a lot of that, but I don't really have a program. I have a, hey, what is it that you want to learn from me? And, this is what I need to kind of compensate my time, if that makes any sense. So, yeah, Jackie, the other thing too is if you are trading, go to Intraday, go to the Trade Ideas chat room. It's free. Barry's a champ. There's a lot of good guys there that are sharing good ideas. Someone might say, you might watch a guy and you might say, he trades exactly what I want to see, and then you can just ask him. And quite often people just say, yeah, here's the scan I use, here you go. It's a pretty good group there. Barry I don't know how he keeps 500 people from losing their shit and fighting with each other all day, but he seems to do a pretty good job. So check out what they have built, and then try to just mess with stuff on your own, right? Try to just go in there and start playing, because I'll tell you, that's what I did. And then the other thing is that if you bought Trade Ideas, regardless of how you bought it, you get an hour of free kind of someone showing you around the system. So use that if you haven't. You'd be shocked how many people buy the program and don't use their free hour of sitting down one-on-one with a trader and talking about how they use the program to trade. So yeah, Keith, I do charge per hour. You can just fire me an email and we can talk about that if that's something you're interested in. Yeah, Jackie, use the room, use the built-in windows, and start playing with yourself. The best strategies you will ever build are the ones that you build yourself, so you know them in and out, right? You know exactly when they're going to alert, what they're going to look like, what the volume is going to be like, what the spreads are going to be like, all this kind of stuff. So he says Barry's a good cop. It's people guy, as you say. Yeah, he's got a good calming presence, which I think is what makes him a good trader, is that he's, the guys that you see that are very emotional and very opinionated and very headstrong, they're not gonna make it for a long time, because there is nothing more humbling in this game than trading, than just market doesn't care who you are or how smart you are, right? If you're the best trader in the world, you're going to be right 60-70% of the time. So no, Jackie, the windows aren't back tested. Holly, obviously everything that goes through Holly is back tested, so you won't see an alert that's not been back tested and does not have a very favorable kind of risk reward profile. But the rest of the stuff are not back tested, right? That's something that when you get into and you start to understand how to tell Trade Ideas what you want, I always suggest getting in and back testing your own. Again, you're going to know the most about them for sure. But yeah, Holly, everything in Holly is back tested, but everything in the rest of the trade ideas kind of loadouts there are not. So definitely be careful with that for sure. So again, I can hang out for another 15 minutes at least if there's that many questions. If not, we'll call it a bit early. But so anything you guys got, you got me sitting here for a little bit. So let me know. Just having a few windows open. There are too many alerts to play. How do you weed out? Again, it's just what you're looking at, right? It's what is it that interests you, and then kind of filtering it down from there, right? It is a very personal thing. A lot of people get into they want something to kind of just tell them what to do and where to do it and that type of thing. It's not the best way to utilize this program. To be honest, the best way to utilize this program is to try to get deep into the weeds with it. If a scan is giving you too many alerts, you have to filter them out somehow, right? So more volume, tighter ranges, that type of thing. It's best to kind of build your own type of thing. So if I have a window going through, and this is one of the things that I do, let me close and reopen all this. What I'm doing and what I've basically been sitting here with you guys doing for the most of the day is doing that very same thing, where I've taken all of the stocks that you're seeing on all of these windows, and I've narrowed them down to what I consider like a top 20 stocks. And then I'm just looking at these windows, right? So my alerts that go off are just going to show these particular windows with just these stocks in them. So that's one of the ways I filter them in. But, if you're looking for momentum stocks, maybe you want higher volume, right? So just right click, and in any window in Trade Ideas, you can right click, click configure, go into, and up the volume, change the price to the stocks you like the price of, limit the spread, basically whatever you want, right? A lot of this program, is just trying to figure out what it is that you want. There, it's back. Jeez. I hate that feature in Windows. So filter them down based off of generally volume. I'd say is the best thing, right? You can up the volume fairly easily. You can specify the volume for the past 1, 5, 10, 15, 60 minutes. Maybe you want more volume in that range. But what people need to understand is what Trade Ideas is as its core is a data provider. They're giving you just shit tons of data. And then it's up to you to transform that data however it is that you like that fits your written trading plan. And that's the big thing for it. So Eric is talking about minimal ATR and volume. I want to see, and again, it all depends what you're looking for, right? I'm looking to risk 25 to make 50. So I'm obviously not going to trade anything that has less than 50% or less than 50 cents ATR. It's just not, I'm not going to be able to capture 2 times the ATR on a stock. It's just probably not going to happen consistently. So I would say minimum 50 cents would be for me. I try to look probably up to $1. And then average volume, I want to see like 1 million thereabouts. Again, it's all trading style dependent. Some people like these low float, low volume guys. just not my thing. Partly because, again, I don't need to be here tomorrow. I'm done work right now. And because of that, because it's all automated, it's all controlled by a bot, it's all controlled by automated orders, so it does a little bit less well with the finesse, I guess. Keith's asking, some of the Holly trades are widespread stocks. Can I implement the strategies into my personal watch list? Yeah, again, you just need to sit down and learn how to tell trade ideas. This is what I'm looking for, and I only want to see this particular pattern with stocks with narrow spreads. You just type it in and go. There's no way to customize Holly to say I only want narrow spread stocks, because again, Holly's looking for alpha based off of 45 different strategies and thousands of trades each day. There's no way to then say, okay, well, I only want to see things that do a lot of volume, because she's customizing that based off what provides the most alpha. So it's going to be a little bit different for everyone. But again, with trade ideas, you can have it show you whatever you want to see. It's just A, figuring out what you want to see, which is your only job as a trader, and then B, figuring out how to get trade ideas to show that to you. So two-step process, still fairly simple. Do I have a strategy to go slow and steady? Again, you need a lot more. Let me show you something. And this is why I guess I'm probably not answering these well. If I go into trade ideas and I build an alert window, and I go into kind of the different strategies, formulas, alerts, filters, all this type of thing, let me just start scrolling down. Right, so there is all these plus any that you could want to create using math. So, you know, it's very hard to just say, oh, do you have a slow and steady strategy? You need to be very specific about what you ask this program, because there's so much that it can show you. So if you want something that moves slow, look for something with a really high volume and a low average shoe range would be my best bet. Again, there's so much here that you need to very much specify what it is that you want to see. Eric asks, execution wise, do you have a favorite alert window or favorite alert to trigger your daily short list? Again, most of them I'm just looking at. So AME, for example, right? I use position in yesterday's range to make sure that we're somewhere kind of where I want to be in this area of yesterday's range. And then I'm using the built-in support algorithms that Trade Ideas has. The only other ones I would look to recommend is maybe topping tails, like maybe a 15-minute topping tail or a 30-minute topping tail might be another way in. One thing that's, interesting to note is that if you're looking for longs, it's often that you can get a resistance area and get a break of that and just buy the break. Whereas shorts, you generally want to buy into pullbacks a little bit more. So I'll say things like, I don't want to be shorting the low of the day, and I don't want to be shorting the low of yesterday, right? I want to be shorting somewhere kind of up into this resistance area type of thing. Will I continue this next week? At the end of this week, I'm going to go through and I'm going to see, how many people are watching this. Does anybody care? How many people are sharing it, right? Going out on Twitter and sharing it around, and the like button and all the crap that all the annoying YouTubers tell you to do all the time. Because really, it's the only way to know what people like and don't like, and what people think is good enough to share with their friends or other traders or don't, and that type of thing. Because again, I'm a trader, so I need to make this worth my time, and I do that with the Tradies affiliation and the mentoring and that type of stuff. So the things that hit the largest audience that syncs well with me is the stuff that I'm going to continue continue doing. Eris asked, do I use the Trade Ideas Brokers Plus or some other app? I don't use the Trade Ideas one, and it's simply because I trade with a prop firm up here in Canada. If you're outside the US and you want to trade prop, you can email me below. Again, links below the video, as well as if you're interested in Trade Ideas, you can click on it and buy it through there. It's a income splitting prop firm, but you don't put up any money, right? You have a small training fee and then monthly data fees, and then everything other that we kind of take in return for some of a split of the profit. So since I use this prop firm, they have their own software. So I've been working with a couple traders, and we've built a bot to link Trade Ideas to their software. So I use another one, but to be honest, it's very similar in nature and what it does to Trade Ideas. Or to the Trade Ideas one. So they're pretty similar. They just accept information from Trade Ideas and then output orders on the other side of whatever it is, right? User defined. So I'll just hang around. If there are any other questions, shoot away. If not, I'll definitely be doing one tomorrow. I promised people at the beginning of this week I would do it all this week. We'll reevaluate kind of, I guess, at the end of the week whether or not I'm going to continue next week, but I'll definitely be back tomorrow at the very least. You mentioned earlier buying support and selling resistance. Is this a general strategy or based on current broader market depth? I adapt based off what I see in the market, right? We mentioned, and again, that was at the beginning. I think with this kind of stuff, most people seem to filter in at the end. But I've kind of noted that the market's done nothing over the past 2 weeks. Right, so a lot of what I'm doing is buying support and selling resistance. If we're moving more dramatically, kind of like through here, then I'll look for possible more Momo type plays, breakouts, high short floats, that type of thing, with this sideways action. And I guess even as long as we're in here, I'm going to do more buying support, selling resistance. So I definitely do adapt based off what the market is and based off just kind of the VIX, right? If we're down in a 15 VIX, right, you're going to want to buy support, sell resistance a lot more because there's just a lot less momentum and fear in the market, right? If we're up at a 40 VIX, well, then I'm going to be, much more directionally focused, I guess, would be a good way to put it. Is it available for offline viewing? Yeah, at... I'll just put in the whole channel. Bonfire. Right there, all the videos. I've been making videos for 2 years now, so there's a lot of content on there. If you guys want to go back, I guess it takes Trade Ideas maybe an hour, it takes YouTube maybe an hour or so. Anything being streamed to YouTube is getting kind of rendered up on their side. So it's kind of, depending on the size of the file and the length of everything, I'd say 2-ish hours would be a good estimate to when they're available after doing this. Do I know if anyone's added futures alerts used to trade ESCL, so S&P, crude, gold, that type of thing? Not in Trade Ideas. Trade Ideas is basically stocks and ETFs right now. There are a lot of people that use other systems to auto trade the futures a lot. But again, Trade Ideas, stocks and ETFs primarily. You could build the ETF equivalent, you could, instead of the ES, you could have it look at the SPY. Instead of the CL, you could have it look at the USO, right? GC, GLD. So you could adapt to it. The difference would be, the future's trading overnight and the stock's not, right? That'd be the main difference. All right, guys, anything more? I'll give you another couple minutes to type them, and if not, you can email me if you don't want to chat in the room, or just fire something off for tomorrow. Or, I guess, prepare your questions for tomorrow when we're going to be doing the same thing. Okay, guys, I'm going to call it a day here. Again, I'll be back tomorrow, and then again, I'll review it on the weekend and see how much people have been interested in this, and we'll decide whether or not it's going to be kind of a continuing series. So I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Trade safe out there.